Douglas not coming?
Douglas is not coming. That was left.
You want me to help out? with the-
If you, I'm gonna leave so all of you,
Congratulations. Yes, it's in the chat.
all of you at home. Good enough. All of you at home, oh, I have to go over there. The chat is on the screen. So if you chat to my computer, everybody can see it. That's just.
Be one.
Just a warning.
No, that's.
So, okay. And thank you all for being here. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. The photographer is coming. Cindy is about 3:30. Okay, about 3:30. Depending on how the meeting goes, it's possible we could be done by then, but I'm not. Or that could be at the end. I'm not sure, who knows? I don't know how it goes. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to those at home for being here also. First item is approval of the agenda. Do we need, Leslie, we need a motion for that, right? We don't need a motion to adjourn, but we do need a motion to approve the agenda.
You can do it similar like the minutes where if anyone has any changes, and if not,
Anyone have any changes to the agenda? Agenda approved. Approval of minutes from the April 26th, 2023 meeting. There's been one change. Cindy, go ahead. You.
Just that, after my name, it should say Division of Communications and.
Very good. Updating the name of your division. Thank you, Cindy. Any other changes to the minutes from our last meeting? Then the minutes are approved. And I already, by text, commended Jill for the skill of those minutes. I think it's her superpower that she can put that, yeah, I think that's deserved. I know that it was such a complicated meeting. You did.
I made my dad proofread it because he's an accountant and I did not understand the budget term.
So,
Get it.
could I ask, let's see, I asked somebody to take a couple of the chairs from the middle, although we probably have enough chairs. I'm just concerned. I know nobody really wants to sit in the middle. There's a couple chairs on the outside, but would you all help me watch? If people come in and there's not an easy place to sit, we could move some of the chairs from the inside to the outside, so there's room. So, all right, the minutes are improved. Our next item is a vote on the curriculum consent calendar items from May 18th. It was a complicated and very interesting packet of material. There was an additional informational item, but let's first vote on the curriculum package, and then I'll just remind you of that informational item. Are we ready?
Ready. Senator Pritzos.
Aye.
Senator Pappas.
We're voting on the group? Oh, aye. We didn't have a motion, did we? Don't we need a motion? I'm like, what do we? I moved to approve the curriculum.
Yeah. Cindy second. Too easy.
Aye.
Again, thanks.
Senator Mingla.
Aye.
You. Senator Buckley Lockhart.
Aye.
Senator Sokolsky.
Aye.
Senator Coward. Aye. Senator Bush.
Aye.
Senator Capuano Villa.
Loretta.
Curriculum.
That was a thumbs up from Senator Capuano.
Senator Singh.
Aye.
Thank you. Senator Restrepo. Senator Johnson.
Aye.
Senator Scales.
I have my own curriculum. Do I have to abstain?
You don't ask.
No.
Aye.
The committee already approved it. This is just I mean, that's.
Check it
Yeah.
Senator Gordon Conders.
Aye.
Senator Z. Senator Kehoe. Aye. Senator Karai.
Aye.
And
Chairperson.
Aye. The curriculum is approved. The additional informational.
I also
item-
vote aye.
Oh,
Are we
did
not
you?
doing, we doing
Oh, yeah.
online? Oh, it's not for
With
forum.
Rob.
Sorry,
Yep.
sorry. Senator
Thank you.
Stamaka, I forgot.
Thank you, Leslie.
Forgot
Sorry about
about
that.
And
And
hold on, I'm getting
Aye.
there. Isaac,
Aye.
people making things difficult. Senator Riccio
Aye.
and Senator Man Hamilton.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All set.
Great.
As well, Senator Correa.
Oh, you joined.
And the
Oh, but
chair,
Chair I got before I got to you because I forgot all about you.
Erica,
Online
Maritza already
voting.
voted
It's
for
already
you.
voted.
Sorry, Erica, I did not see you
Here-
join.
So we're covered.
Covered.
The curriculum is approved.
Good.
Everybody who needed to vote voted. Okay, thank you. Congratulations to your program chair for those big interesting changes. Yeah. Sounds good. The informational item was that Provost Gastic Rosada has reduced the minimum or maximum of class caps on online classes from 22 to 20. So, and that is an informational item, so. All right. No comment, you don't have a question? There. No, there's no trouble.
No.
All right. Oh, yeah, we're waiting for the registrar. So I am gonna go ahead with the chair's report. And while we're right on time, so hopefully, our new registrar is coming soon, Registrar Hakeem. And if anybody, is anyone in his area? No one who could send him a quick message? The registrar.
Probably swimming here through the salt.
It looks a little lighter. All right.
He's definitely coming in 4:45 to the committee backup meeting.
Oh, maybe,
So did he get,
maybe he got confused.
I confirmed that.
Because we confirmed committee of faculty is doing the degree certification.
Yeah.
Before that came up, I confirmed with him to come as a guest to Senate. So to come and introduce himself and be welcomed to the college by Senate. So could you send, Tara, do you have the capacity to send him a quick email?
You? I'm just gonna.
Just to follow up, just to make sure, and then we'll.
I just sent him a thing on whatever it's called, Facebook Messenger.
Okay, thank you. Are you Facebook friends with the new registrar?
I've been Facebook friends with him since he was a student here and the president of the radio station club. So there.
Wow.
You were at the speech center.
Well, I look forward to meeting him then. All right. Interesting. Well, we would all find out when he tells us his story. Okay. A couple of updates. This is the chair's report now, so that I'll begin that now. First, just to mention, so I have continued going to the LaGuardia VRB meetings, vacancy review board meetings, where hiring needs are prioritized to be sent to CUNY's VRB for approval. That group is currently paused for the time being. The top priorities, there was a longer, so basically each vice president is asked what crucial needs they have. Those were collected. That list was then cut in half, and that half of a list by priority was all submitted, usually 2 or 3 a week to CUNY Central, to their VRB. Almost all have been approved and are ready to move through. It's with justification regarding cost, and ideally cost savings and that kind of thing. Now the committee, through HR, the HR director, who is kind of managing the technical side of it, is gathering a new list, and they're reprioritizing, and then the LaGuardia VRB will begin meeting again once, so the first batch has been gone through and the process will continue. I'm not sure when. I'm interested to know, because it's meetings, but I'm not sure when, and then it will continue into the future. So that's where that stands. Yes, Cindy?
Why was it cut in half in order to do the first half now and the second half later? Or
It was
because
cut in half because the reaction by the CUNY Central VRB was so strong to what are you even doing with all of this plan for hiring, that they chose to prioritize about half of the list. And now having a couple of months gone by, they're relooking at the rest of the needs. So it was,
more might be added.
yes, so more will be added, but they're in the process of rethinking it, or of collecting, of having the vice presidents reevaluate. So what are your crucial staffing needs? And then a new list will be collected. And then our LaGuardia's VRB will prioritize which ones to submit first to the CUNY Central VRB. Yeah, Rebecca.
Is this just for a full-time position?
Yes, I believe it's for full-time positions. Yeah, and it is still not generally faculty, that there's still hiring of faculty lecturers who are, so things that have independent funding that has already been funded, those are not related to what needs to go through the VRB. So, but as you know, it is a crucial need to try to fill some of the vacancies that have been left at the college. So that's my understanding, which is not a great understanding, but at least, it's good to kind of see how it's working and what's happening. So those meetings have been paused. We did, second item, we had the first ever meeting of the new Council of Governance Leaders, which there'll be another announcement that comes out in the campus update about that today to the campus. So that was, we met last Friday. I don't know where our SGA president is. She was going to be here too. Hopefully, she's
She's a virtual,
she's coming.
I'll double check.
Okay, good enough. So it was the SGA president, Lucia, and Rochelle, the faculty council president, chair's council chair, it's Mike Napolitano. This staff representative, Anthony, was the alternate for Loretta, who was unable to be there that day, and myself meeting with President Adams. The big takeaway was, my own impression was hugely valuable, but we all agreed it was valuable enough that we have decided as a council to meet twice a semester instead of once a semester, which was the original idea. So our next meeting will schedule after the summer for late September, maybe early October, and then a follow-up meeting for towards the end of the fall semester. Each person we went around and talked about what we wanted that group to hear from our own constituency, issues or concerns, things that we were dealing with. And President Adams took a turn also, what he wanted to inform us of. He said a few things that were really interesting that I wanted to pass along to you. One is, first, he considers himself an advocate for all constituencies of the college, not primarily for students, as we all are, but not just for students, also faculty and staff as well. He wanted to make that clear. He said that he values greatly institutional memory and considers governance bodies like those that we represent to be crucial for maintaining and communicating institutional memory. He considers institutional memory to be essential for thoughtful decision-making, and so it wants to see our input through this way. He also thought that the council would be valuable for early stage input on new opportunities or new projects that he's considering. And it was at that point that we thought, all right, we should meet more than just once a semester, so we can provide that. And we were each, again, speaking to represent our constituencies. Two themes emerged, and I will let Rochelle add anything that she might want to my report about the meeting. Two themes emerged. One is the need for mentoring across the campus, both students, including student government, but faculty and staff also. And so that was raised as a broad issue. And the other issue that emerged was just the need for ways to improve staff morale that staff were having a hard time with. just the state of the hiring at the college and the workload. So that's what came from the meeting. Anthony or Rochelle, do you have anything you want to add to that short report?
I mean, I agree, you know, I think it was very productive and he was open to hearing a lot of things. I think it was a good meeting and it's a good start. I know he was taking notes and he said he would, you know, address certain things with the appropriate areas, so.
Sounds good. Rochelle?
Yeah, I was just going to say that it was the emphasis on mentorship for all constituencies. That was important. There was a second idea, though. I'm trying to remember. I'm quickly going through my notes. It was mentorship and something else. I forgot that second bullet point.
Staff morale.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Morale. But yeah, I think it's going to be productive. It's a way to break the silos. So this is a good way to share information. So I think it's going to be worthwhile.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Rochelle. Thank you. Lucia's here too. We were just talking about the Council of Governance Leaders and how valuable it was. And you do not need to speak, having just arrived.
Sit down,
But
but.
go ahead. Do you want to say anything to this body about our first ever Council of Governance Leaders meeting?
Oh, yeah, it was really effective and I really appreciated, like the insights that were, taken into account that day.
Great, great. And Lucia will be on her way out as the SGA president, this month, next month?
This month.
This
yes.
month? So, but has already promised that whoever is elected to replace her, she will train in your important role on Senate and in this new Council of Governance Leaders, so that will be continued. So,
Yeah.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Let's see, two more things, or maybe three. I want to remind you all, and again, this is our last meeting of this academic year, so we're kind of phasing out. We'll be phasing up again in the fall. But at this point, I want to remind you all of the importance of the Senate's committees. I think as we look back on this year with the revised attendance policy and the new children on campus policy, you can see the importance of the work that the Senate committees do. I want to encourage you as you interact with your own constituents, though that's winding down for faculty especially, but not for the rest of you, it's crucial that we ensure that everyone at the college is well represented on the committees, so that the committees are staffed not just by someone who can be strong-armed to serve, but that the committees need to represent the constituents of the college. It's not just the Senate that represents the constituents of the college, it's also the committees, because the committees are where the work happens that then comes to the Senate for approval. So I just want to remind you of that priority. And there will be continued needs to fill vacancies on the committees. And one of our hopes for LaGuardia is that that the role of shared governance can become recognized as not just a way to either, well, to fill your free time or to earn what your service so that you can get promoted for faculty, but is actually crucial to make the college function well and to keep our environment healthy. And so my hope is that we can continue to make that clear to the whole campus. So, and that goes for students in both student government and student senators, that the value of this work is recognized and taken seriously. So in that line, this was not in my notes, but I'll go ahead, Patricia.
Yeah, just the UFS has implemented a new thing this year. I mean, I think Hugo probably saw it, where they sent a survey to ask all the senators at the UFS which committees they would like to participate in. And that means that just coming to the UFS is not enough, that you have to do some committee work. And I wonder if that's something that we could do, just say, here are the Senate committees. What are you interested in? And I'll send you the survey. I thought it was kind of a nice idea. I mean, the committee works, and so Charles was chair. It was always that importance of, the work is done by the committee. So maybe some sort of survey might have it.
Sounds good. I received the survey too, because it went to the faculty governance leaders also, but I didn't look at it because I'm not a senator. But so that's a good idea.
Senators or the students, you say, here
Yeah.
are the committees, what would you like to participate? And I know some of us do participate, but if we have
Right.
needs or if there are committees that need, then that might be a way to say, yes, you come to Senate, but that may not be, you know.
Good idea.
It's all to her.
Loretta?
That was also a topic of conversation during the governance plan revision committee. That, no offense, all senators, being a senator is insufficient, that you need to be an active senator. And that you would then serve on the committee.
Good idea. I put that on my list to consider. The executive committee can take that up.
I think the committee on committees they did like a list or something that they were sending out, but it wasn't really a survey, but they started that process to some extent, so that would make sense that they continue that.
That's, yeah, that's a good idea. Lucy? Yeah.
Since we are here for that moment, for the committees, do we have any minimum number of members or maximum number of members per committee?
It's different per committee.
Okay,
And it's
do
in
we
the
have
governance
any
plan.
kind
It's
of
in the-
lists?
It's in the governance plan. And actually,
Oh.
there's some information on the Senate website. So most committees, if you, on the Senate
I have
website,
read them, but I don't
There's
see
not
any
enough.
mandatory thing.
then, yeah, it may not be, well, it
Yes,
depends on the
The
committee.
governance plan indicates the membership of the committee. How
And
many
the-
members? It's in the governance plan for most of the
It's
committees.
just
Some of
when
the
it's
committees-
specific, if there's specific ones, not
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of
I
them
see,
are
I see.
specific, but the specific ones are.
No, but it's
Okay.
a good question.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's worth, the governance plan is also on the website, and it's worth glancing at. They're great, reading well. Right, that's what Patricia's for. She-
Yeah, intense reading.
Yeah. With the announcement of a new Office of Global and Experiential Learning opening up, through a couple of colleagues in the English department with others on campus. I've already reached out to them to say, hey, your office can be elevating SGA and student senators as a really valuable form of experiential learning. So I'm going to try to start a conversation with them too, so that it's seen not just as, oh, hey, there's this, but this is a really interesting vehicle for a form of experiential learning. So I started that conversation. Let me see, regarding committees, last meeting way back in April, I raised a question about the visitors policy at LaGuardia. And because we've been kind of operating under a COVID visitors policy, which is now no longer in effect. So I would like to charge the Committee on Campus Affairs, of which one of the co-chairs is present, but only one.
I'm not here.
So, or maybe go over the summer or sometime soon to take on the issue of a visitors policy. Anything, history of visitors policy at LaGuardia, what other campuses do, because I think there's need for a clarified visitors policy for the campus. And that sounds to me like a subject for the Campus Affairs Committee. So, last comment. Future Senate leadership. We have one more Senate meeting of this Senate year in September. So all of you who are currently senators, you will still be senators in September. Then in early October, we are going to have a transitional meeting that's not going to be a formal Senate meeting where any outgoing senators are invited to return, as well as newly elected senators. It will be a sort of an orientation for the newly elected senators. The end of October is where the new Senate year formally begins, and it's when we will elect new members of the executive committee and other leadership roles at the college. And I just urge you all to think about getting more involved. I know I haven't checked this with the Senate secretary, but I know she would so welcome the opportunity to serve in another way. Although when you're that good at minutes, it's hard to take your place. But yeah, so for instance, So those executive committee roles are open and we do need others to step
We'll
up.
train someone.
Yes, and that is the last thing in my chair's report. Any questions about that, all of those items? Okay. So Hugo, any word from, I don't know if.
Something, the year-end reports.
Oh, yes, I did. So the other thing that I was gonna say to committee chairs, of whom there's a few here. In September is when, at our last Senate meeting of this year, that September meeting, we'd like to have year-end reports from every committee. I will be working over the summer on preparing a year-end report for Senate in collaboration with the Executive Committee of the Senate, but then each committee should also prepare their year-end report. Jill is planning to send out some more instructions. There's been zero uniformity among.
I have yours from last year. Do you want me to pull it up quickly just to show the structure of what?
Sure.
We'll send those to them.
Well, we're
So
gonna,
we're
we're
thinking
working on
about
that.
this, but what we're thinking as a general idea is adhering to the responsibilities that are listed in the governance plan as a structure for the outline of the report. We've gotten reports that look very different, and that's fine. But we were thinking this might be a helpful way for somebody who's interested in what a committee did to be able to say, oh, this is the committee that does, campus affairs plans. Let me look at their responsibilities and then look at the report. So this is what Christy did. She listed the responsibilities enumerated in the plan and then listed what we did for each of those responsibilities.
So it meant that I had to look at the things that we did, went back over our meeting minutes and sort of categorize them according to the governance plans list of Senate responsibilities. Now, most committees have, a less detailed list of responsibilities, but they should still have a general framework. There's a couple of committees that have not yet defined those, the ad hoc committees, and that's something to consider. But to use the expectations listed for the committee as a structure for organizing the report is our proposed idea right now.
And then at the end, there'll be a section for other things, because sometimes things don't neatly fall in those categories. So what we did here was at the very end, I believe there was kind of an others
Yeah,
section.
Middle States was not in the
There you
governance
go.
plan.
Other
but-
Senate accomplishments. So we had an other section. And then the one other thing that we were discussing is possibly a list of meeting dates and a list of committee members and their roles in the committee if they have it.
So it looks like we're getting close to needing a couple of welcoming chairs around the outside of the room. If somebody would slide some over, maybe over there, just or by Loretta, just so it's easier for people who arrive to find a place to sit. Welcome chairs. Jill's gonna send that out and we will continue working on better guidance for preparing a year-end report. And those are going to be collected in, there's a Senate SharePoint. At some point, we may also put them on the Senate website, but that's underway. So any questions?
Yes.
Yeah,
I have
Lucy.
a question. How does the subcommittee report, does the subcommittee reports to the committee and then the chair committee reports?
So the subcommittee is just another name for the committee. So except the committee on professional.
Separately?
So every committee will report separately to the Senate. We'll send a report to me and the executive committee. We'll have a brief overview of those in the meeting in September. We'll ask for a brief overview, but they'll be collected in writing. The one Senate committee definitely with subcommittees is the Committee on Professional Development, which
Yeah.
has a bunch of subcommittees.
Yeah.
Most of the other committees don't have subcommittees. Sometimes I call all the committees subcommittees of the
Yes, so
Senate,
I'm
but
in one of the subcommittees of the professional development.
yes,
That's what I meant.
so the Professional Development Committee is gonna need to reach out to their subcommittees and ask for.
In the past
They'll-
couple of years, it's pretty much been each committee submits a year-end report. There
Yeah.
haven't been subcommittees that submit anything separately unless there was a substantial amount of work
I see.
done, or they don't work necessarily in conjunction with the committee as much. But overall, it's been the committee chair reaches out to the subcommittees, they'll elicit information and put it in their own.
Got it. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
And good question, Lucy, thank you. And Lucy, being a new member of the LaGuardia community, bravo for joining all the committees you've been on. I've seen you, you've gotten involved in many things.
And what I'm working.
And it's wonderful, and it's helpful. So, yeah, according to the tiny message that you can't see, Registrar Hashim is going to zoom in at some point. If you see him arrive, anyone, let me know. In the meantime, and again, I did say, right, there, the photographer is coming at 3:30.
Oh, there's.
Oh, great. Okay. Abdul.
Hello, everyone.
There you are. All right, welcome.
So,
Thank you
sorry,
for
I was caught up in another meeting at the same time.
No problem. If I may call you Abdul rather than Registrar Hashim.
Yes, absolutely.
Welcome to Senate. We'd hoped you would just introduce yourself to us, tell us a little bit about yourself, let us formally welcome you to LaGuardia, and then there may be some questions from senators about your role or needs or anything. So.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me to join this meeting. I look forward to continue working with all of you in the near future. I used to work here at LaGuardia a very long time ago. Then after that, I went to a couple other CUNY campuses. I started here back in April 10 is when I started here at LaGuardia again. So I look forward to creating very fruitful relationships with all of you and working together with faculty and staff on campus. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Great. So are there questions for the registrar? Yes, Chair.
I just am curious about staffing and how the registrar's office is managing their staffing.
So right now we are kind of overwhelmed with the staffing. We're losing another staff member. It was recently announced. Derwent has accepted a position in another institution, so he will be leaving. And so we are down by a lot of members since last year. So full-time, we have 8 and 9, including myself. So 9 full-time staff, and we're kind of sharing the work and workload. We've been doing that for the past year. So staffing has been a challenge. We do have 2 lines that we did a search for that's going through the VRB process. I'm not sure as far as the status goes, but I don't see, we might have to relaunch those again when the new budget passes after July 1st. That's what I hear. And then a replacement for Derwent's line. We'll probably have to do a search for that as well. So we're hanging in there, and we thank you for your support and throughout the campus, faculty and staff who have helped us along the way.
Yes, Jean.
So you've had a lot of changes. I used to know who to call for what problem, but I don't know who to call anymore. Could you share that?
Absolutely. So you can reach out to me directly, or you can send an email to a registrar at lagcc.cuny.edu. That's our general mailbox, and we all have access to that mailbox. And we usually route the inquiries, whatever the inquiry may be, we'll route it to the person that needs to respond, and then we'll get to you as fast as possible. But if there's any urgent issues that come up, you can certainly just shoot me an email and I'll be able to assist.
Yeah, Rebecca.
Is the registration lab operating, is there an online or an in-person lab? It's pertinent to my program, the ESL program this week, as we have final exams and registration days coming up this week. So I'm just wondering if that's operating normally.
Yeah, the registration lab, we are located in C-126. And we are operating, regular business hours are Monday through Thursday, I believe. During the summertime, of course. We also have virtual hours. Students can see us virtually online. So we're operational.
Thank you.
Great. Yes, Tara?
Can you just ask a follow-up question about staffing, like pre-COVID, what's the ideal number of full-time staff members in it, or what was it before COVID? And where?
Well, I'm relatively new, so I can tell you what I know. Over the last year, I believe we lost about like 5 or 6 people over the last year. I think so. That was also not the highest number of staffing we've had over the years. But if we can get back up to that level, then some of the workload that that have been divided can be more evenly matched, or we can meet demand, especially during the coming fall semester. Registration time is going to be very busy for us, so we're hoping to increase, maybe hire additional staff for the registration lab. And also, again, the lines that were not rehired, for the person for the scheduling specifically, and one person for graduation, full-time person, and then now Derwent's line in associate registrar line will need to be replaced. Addition to that, there were, I think, a couple other staff that were we went down by, but I can't tell you the exact number. Once I have that data, I can pass it on to you.
Oh yeah, Rochelle asked in the chat about lab scheduling.
Oh, sorry. Let me take a look at the chat.
Oh, I was just wondering about how we're scheduling labs, computer labs. Are we just emailing as we've been doing lately?
Yeah. So we have a staff person checking the inbox for that. It's scheduling at lagcc.cuny.edu. That's the mailbox for. I could put that in the chat. Basically, that's where you would send an email. Any questions or inquiries related to scheduling.
Okay. Any other questions? And you all may not be able to see in person, may not be able to see a scheduling at LAGC. Yeah, you can work that out though, just the word scheduling with the rest of our prefix. So any other questions? All right. Then thank you, Abdul, so much for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Look forward to meeting you in person at some point, or I'm sure some of you have already, but we will. What? Oh, Terry, you're coming back
4:45.
at 4:45 for the
Yes.
degree certification. A
Yes.
complicated. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Should I stay for the rest of the meeting, or how does this work? I'm new to this.
Unless you're eager to hear about how it all works, otherwise you can excuse yourself. Oh, no, he's there. Yeah, so you do not need to stay unless you'd like to, but you're welcome. Yeah, it's an open meeting, so anyone is invited to stay for the meeting. I just took the speaker off. So I turned it back into where we will see everybody.
All right, thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, Abdul.
Take care.
Bye. Moving on to committee reports. Committee on committees. Charis, do you have any report? Oh, you're Denise.
Yeah,
Oh, you
that's
thought
Denise.
Karen?
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
There's no Karen.
Remote and masks have undermined my sense of who you are. Yeah, I'll follow up with chairs. Academic Standing Committee, I don't see Lila here, so I expect there's no report. Committee on Campus Affairs.
No report, but I noted that we need to have a visitors policy.
Okay.
Oh, and we do need a student because the students on the committee is graduating, so I'm
All
gonna
right.
follow up with chairs.
Sounds good, sounds good. Committee of Faculty. Any report? Diana and Claudette?
We're meeting after today's Senate meeting, and we are going to prepare fall 2022. Our meeting will be held in the President's Conference.
Great. Good, that'll work. Okay, thank you, Claudette. I don't see the co-chairs of the Committee on Professional Development. Am I missing anybody? Budget and Finance Committee. Yeah. Patricia. She's gotta come to the front.
Do not do this to me. That's my dad. Again.
So
You want
so
me to share the screen?
yeah, the slide that I have. So as many of you may have seen, there was an email from somebody who's very involved in the union with a claim that the ECP had an increase in 14% in their budget, that they were getting themselves raises while the adjunct money was being slashed. So I inquired, I asked Anthony, fellow director of budget, to give me the actual numbers. And as we'll see here, what we have now in the fall fiscal year 2023, which was the question that was asked as instead of 3 million, whatever that number is, it was 4.1. And 4.1 at the time included the people that were hired and the people that were still in their positions in the ECP. Once these people went back to their previous grade, of course, the money is not spent. So this is why now we have 376 instead of that 4.1 that was circulating around. Okay, and as we can see, the number of ECP is the same. It's 2020. Next year there will be one less, one fewer person. The restricted are the people who are not paid from our budget, but are paid from different money, so it doesn't count toward our funding and our budget.
Would you explain what ECP is just for the?
It's the executive compensation plan, so it's the deans and the VPs, and so when the email came out with that opposition between slashing the budget for adjuncts and increasing the ECP, there was need to sort of explain all this, because yes, we can question why the president is hiring 2 VPs. Yes, we can do that. But arguing that they were giving themselves raises is not really accurate. So I think we needed to just show this. Again, there is an increase between fiscal year 2022, fiscal year 2023 with the same number of ECP. And yes, they did get a raise that was approved by Hector Batista in 2021, 2022. Those raises are along the lines of 2%. And twice 2%, and not everybody got that raise. It depended on how many years they are on campus, etc. So yes, there's a little increase, but not for 14%. So I think this will help maybe settle some of that noise, as the union was calling it, just to clarify if some of you have questions. So that's all I have.
It's also contractual.
Yeah.
So right after, whenever you have the ratification of the PSC
Yes,
contract,
that's right.
I want to say approximately 6 months after, they then look at the ECP compensation, just the entire plan. And once they do that, usually it's not retroactive, so it doesn't really work the same way everyone else's contract works. It's not everybody, it's not always retroactive. They may give you, say, 6 months, and that's not often. And they usually have those 2%, it was exactly 2%. It was 4%. It was 2%, and immediately with it being retroactive to 6 months prior. And then it was in the following year, it was an additional 2%. But those, again, were part of the contractual negotiations that came. I think what they're talking about, it's not at the college level, it's at the university level. Because the increases that occurred in not necessarily ECP, but management at the university level, they were more significant.
Yeah,
So,
so
like-
there's both. There's,
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
both.
that issue came up, the
Separately.
CUNY Central. It was also, the accusation was made at LaGuardia, and it was much more complicated.
Yeah, but that New York State managerial increase that was voted, Shahil said he hasn't heard anything from CUNY Central yet.
Absolutely.
So that's not part of that budget, so we'll give the information as we get it and as we have it. So of course, why did we have 4.1 million at that time? Because these were the numbers that we had. So as the numbers get modified for whatever reason, then we give the update. So the budget committee has agreed that the budget updates will be part of the campus update. Is that what we said? That each time there's a campus update at the bottom, you'll see if the budget has been updated, that there will be a notice from the budget director that the budget has been updated, so that there's more transparency. Yes, Loretta. of course,
One of the other issues why 23 was so high is it also includes people who are leaving but are still on payroll.
Yes, of
So
course.
like you actually had two provosts on payroll at the
Yes.
same time. One leaving. and
Yes,
one-
that's it. And you have two VPs and two interim VPs at the same time on
And then-
payroll.
And then once they fall off payroll, the numbers get adjusted because they're not longer pulling that salary out of the current fiscal year.
Yeah.
Or projected for the next. So what we've learned, I'm on the budget committee with Patricia, it's complicated and it's a little fluid. As much as we'd like it all to be like our own home checkbooks, it's not.
And I think I think it's important. The questions are interesting. I appreciate the questions and I'm okay. We're okay to clarify. I mean, the budget committee, the money doesn't go in my pocket anyway.
Can I just clarify here, and you may have said this already and I missed it. The head counts are just the equivalent for that amount of money, or what's the head, that's how it relates, why the head counts are there.
Yeah, and so as you can see, the head count hasn't increased, so there is not more, there are not more people on the ECP, which is an interesting idea that we haven't increased the number of ECP,
Okay.
of people on the ECP, and actually next year we have one less, and the restricted again are people who are not paid with our money, so it doesn't affect us. Yes, Rebecca, sure.
Do we know if LaGuardia is similar to other CUNYs in percentage of executive roles versus non-executive?
I can get you those numbers. I'm not, because I had them from the, I'm on the UFS Budget Advisory Committee, so we see those numbers. I don't know that LaGuardia is anywhere, it's not an outlier. I think we're in the pack, but I can get you those numbers.
Okay, any other questions? Complicated but important. Thank you for this clarification. Anything else from the budget committee?
No, that's about it for, for today. I'm waiting for the next question.
I do have a quick comment. Has this information been shared with the union?
Well, I think there's a question there of what is the role of the Senate and what is my role in, when I get the email from the union and responding to all these emails. I'm not sure. Michelle, I agree. I'm not sure. I think the budget committee is the budget committee of the Senate. We report to the Senate. Clarifications are needed, then they'll be recorded in this session. And avail themselves of the recording.
Just checking.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So if they want to be here to hear your reports, for example, they're allowed to, right? So they're
Yes,
welcome.
everybody's allowed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're also allowed to watch them on
That means
YouTube.
it
so-
is open.
Yeah,
If
it's
they
open.
want to know.
Cindy and then Jean.
Well, and I really appreciate this. This is like, I don't know, it's really important information, I think. and it hasn't been communicated in the past, and it's great to have this clear information. Anyway, I also want to encourage everybody to report to your constituents on these things, pass along the information, and then maybe people won't, you know. Of course, people are mad and morale is down because of the budget situation, so it's really important to have it.
Jean,
So you're gonna share this in the communication,
What
things,
communication?
didn't you say you were gonna put the
Campus
budget
update?
information on the bottom of the
weekly campus update, but not this.
Maybe not this particular slide, but I'll ask Anthony if that can be here.
What I was thinking is, the explanation was more powerful to me than the actual number.
Yeah.
So if you could explain, like, there was 2 provosts and the payroll and stuff like that,
Yeah,
Can
but
you,
how? I mean, this is becoming
how
like,
is it?
am I supposed to educate the entire college on the budget?
You're trying, and we're appreciative. Could you sum up the explanation in a couple of sentences?
And then what?
Just for us.
Then some other questions.
And
Feel free to copy the minutes.
Do you?
And just share them with your constituents, because by
You
then
have
my dad will have figured out what Patricia was saying.
Us, the students might need to hear it again. Could you just say again, and so that we all have it and can represent it to our constituents, although all department meetings are passed now for the year, but just like the gist of it. The money goes up, but it's not necessarily raises.
No, the money was up because people were still on payroll, so we hired 2 VPs and we still have people in those positions before they went back to their old position. And we had 2 provosts at the same time, so that's why we had such a number for the ECP compensation. Once, because at the time that Anthony did the numbers, he didn't know what would happen and how it was going to happen, so he just had the numbers as they were at that time. Once people leave or they're back into their old position, then the numbers get adjusted.
You received praise in the chat from Rochelle saying you do it so well, Patricia. So, yeah, Jean, go ahead.
but you weren't planning to share it in the weekly.
In a
update,
minute, it's not a weekly update, it's the campus update. When there is a campus update and the budgets have been updated, in the campus update, you'll see a line at the end. If there's a budget update, that will be there. All these numbers are available anywhere. They're on the website, they're on the human resources budget.
I'm just saying what my concern is we just put out the numbers without the explanation. It might actually increase the misunderstandings and
So people can report to their constituents.
There was some discussion if there should be a reply all to the reply all email that originally presented some misinterpreted information, and we decided not to reply all to the reply all email. So just to kind of discourage that as a means of communicating with the campus, but we thought about it. Yeah, Loretta?
There was also an issue, the original email was not sent to all.
No, there was one that was sent.
No, I never got it.
You never got
I
it.
got yours. I didn't get that. I didn't get the original. the
So maybe it
original one-
it probably went to members of the PSC.
Yeah, the member. of the
You are a
PSC.
member of the PSC.
What I'm
You are a
saying is.
welcome
we
member.
have to- So what I'm saying is, I agree that we put it in the campus update, the campus and not this necessarily, but the budget office is going to allow. We don't know who full 24's budget is, the fiscal year 24 budget is. yet. That number is not available. We won't know. Or the university tells us, and I've been here a long time, and sometimes it's June and sometimes it's September. It depends. So when we know it, it will be public. And it's a commitment from the budget office and administration that we share this information. That is our job.
And our next budget meeting is actually in July, then, because we have nothing until July, until we have the city budget, the state budget. So we'll meet, our committee has decided to meet again in July, and usually we meet in July and in August, sometime at the end of.
So,
We're making ourselves available during the summer, even though some of us are not here. I'm here, but yeah, it's incredible. And I just want to echo Rochelle. Thank you so much, Patricia.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate it.
and let me remind all of us that in our roles as senators or alternate senators, one of our key responsibilities is reporting back to our constituents. So you should have or establish some way to report back to your constituents about this meeting, and this clarification could be part of that follow-up. That's the kind of the way the system should operate. So, good.
Good.
No other questions? Patricia, thank you. We'll have you back do we have you back yet? No, not yet. Wait. Committee of Staff and Alumni, Cindy and Denise, any?
Just that we are rescheduling our meeting Friday because it happened at the same time as closing sessions. So we're having it on Monday, at 3 p.m. instead, and I'm going to be sending out an email about that.
So, very good. And so all of you staff senators to show up for that meeting is an important part of your role, just like faculty senators, important to show up for the committee of faculty meeting. Committee of students. R1.
I don't have anything to report, but I'm trying to recruit students for next year.
Thank you so much. And we can all join Jana in that effort to recruit students for next year.
I've been telling everyone my.
Thank you. And thank you for being here and being faithful all year long. You deserve.
I told Joe, I'm gonna show up.
Which is awesome. And Lucia got word late, but I thank you for being here. It matters a lot. Now it's Patricia's time again. Committee on Elections.
So we're urging everyone to agree to step up and become senators and to see when the at-large are going to come out. I encourage also all the outgoing senators, if they decide not to run again, to make sure that they encourage their colleagues to run. So we're going to, I'll send a list of the senators that are outgoing. And hopefully by September, the emails will go to the VPs, to the department chairs to organize the elections. So we're trying again to make sure that the elections happen the way they're supposed to happen. What we hear from the grapevine is that it's not always the case, and I and the committee can't go and police the elections. So we encourage the senators to step up and make sure that the elections are organized the way they are supposed to be.
And elections for at-large senators and student senators will happen in September.
Same thing as all the elections within 6 weeks of the first Senate meeting. So in September, if we're going to start, Anthony and I were just talking today, we're going to send the flyer I'm going to send the flyer out for the students, to Anthony, to Denise, to Campus Live, to Ellen Bush for the first year seminar, and make sure that this is disseminated early enough. Maybe we'll recruit students who are here this summer also to make sure that we can have a full student. So I'll send you the flyer too also, Jana, so that we can maybe send it to other students.
Great. All right. Thank you, Patricia. Executive committee, you've heard from already. Transfer committee, I don't see Alexa or Misan. Rebecca, anything for the Food Insecurity, Justice and Community Need Committee? You've done a lot. Okay. Then ad hoc committees, IT Advisory Committee. Jamie, anything to report? I see Jamie's box. But I don't see, okay. History Committee, Loretta and Charles was here. He stepped out.
I can just share that, we are beginning to do additional letters, and we urge everyone here, invitations for interviews. And we urge everyone here, like to volunteer, or if there's someone on campus or in recent have left the campus that you would like to hear from. We appreciate nominations.
Great. So for interviews for Senate and institutional history. I see in the chat that Jamie says her mic isn't working and she has nothing to report. The IT Advisory Committee's final meeting is next week. P&B Article Committee, Patricia's not doing too much. You need more.
Patricia is in too many cases and doesn't like it.
All right, that's what happens.
That you were so good.
Yeah.
In all these spaces. So personnel and budget article hopefully will wrap up in June. Our next meeting is on the 18th. So what we've done is conducted surveys and all the departments have so far responded. So I must say that the people from the department, the faculty from each department have really done their work and sort of discussed all the options with their department. So hopefully what we'll get is something that has the approval. I made sure that Maria is going to be here on at the last meeting because to iron out the language, to make sure that the language we have is the language that should be in the governance plan. So far we're good and we'll report at the Senate. I'll report on that committee in September. And I think that what we're going to do next is do some sort of how to run the PNB elections. Sort of a procedural sheet on how to run the elections, and Ron said she would help me out, so that there are no confusions anymore as to what needs to be done and how.
You took care of the ed thing, right?
The 11:30, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because,
Alex, you're not muted.
but yeah, he had a.
Okay. Do you want to say something, Alex? Oh, no. she's
No,
muted.
sorry, I was just multitasking.
Okay, thanks.
I think you had, what's interesting in the committee is that we're not going to have that many changes as much as we thought that maybe we would like tear everything apart and do it again. We're very traditional, very conservative.
Good enough. Anthony.
Can I ask you a question? What's the next step on that? Because I know, obviously, when the other committee, we had certain plans, now it went to this group. You're gonna bring it to the Senate. Are we gonna be able to make suggestions or what's the, like,
Well, I think
Where are
this
we on
has to do with the PNB. So the PNB is mostly faculty. So I think it will come back to the Senate, but again, it's going to be a question on if the committee has made that decision. The Senate, of course, can make suggestions and get the approval of the Senate. I don't know that we want to redo the work of the committee at the Senate.
So the committee
That makes
has
sense.
representation from all the academic departments of the college.
The academic departments, the union, legal, and HR.
So it will come to the Senate for a vote, but hopefully not for more work. The work should be, although it's
Well,
always an option.
I mean,
work
but
should
my
be-
question, and maybe Leslie can answer this better. I mean, with the governance plan revision, we came back for revisions, we came for suggestions, we showed, there was a long process. And we all had a chance for input after that. I feel like with this, you guys are working on something. Now it sounds like you're gonna present something and that's it. Like,
PNB is
where do
not
we get the
purview of
input?
Senate.
But it's not just P and B on that part.
It is PNB.
Well, that wasn't what we decided when we split it up. That's why I'm asking. I mean, having not seen it yet. I'm curious because we have not gotten to see anything yet. And like I said, on the other ones, we all had input.
It's
So-
Article 8, so it's the PNB, departmental PNB, college-wide PNB, that's all we're doing. And the PNB technically is not the purview of the Senate, so that we accept that governance will have a look at it, that's fine. It's part of the governance plan, but it's not the purview of the Senate.
Loretta.
That's what I wanted to underscore. It is Article 8 of the governance plan. So yes, I believe that we should have a conversation, not necessarily that we're looking at it. But it is part of the governance plan. That's one of the reasons why the whole governance plan has not been approved yet. We're still working on pieces that aren't finalized.
So it is the final piece of the governance plan that will come to Senate. We can discuss it. The anticipation is that the committee's been formed to do the work. The executive committee of the Senate can discuss this more with the chair of this committee to just deliberate on this more thoroughly. But the work has been done in the committee with full representation for the issue that is the focus. When we approve it, then the entire government, the other parts of the governor's plan have already been submitted to President Adams and approved by President Adams. This is the last piece that will complete it, and then it will go to the Board of Trustees. Leslie has said in the chat, and Leslie, again, our parliamentarian and vice chair of Senate, the Chair's Council will review the department chair role. It's not really part of the governance plan, as it's not the purview of the Senate. The content is part of LaGuardia's governing documents. So we'll work this out, but yeah, and it's probably more of a discussion that we can have right now in this meeting.
Yeah, we'll add hopefully we'll add the chairperson's role and responsibility, because this is something that's not in our governing document, but that is a part of other schools' document. And we're relying, as you said, on the Chair's Council.
So you guys aren't discussing that part, because that was one of the things that that's.
So I am at the governance leaders council meeting. I mentioned that this was my report on behalf of Senate was that this is underway, and I asked the chair of the Chair's Council, or suggested the chair of the Chair's Council, that they consider the role of department chairs in as part of as a piece to add to the governance plan. And Chair Napolitano thought that was a great idea. So
The chairs are discussing and reporting back the decision about the chairs.
the chairs would describe their roles if they want that, if we're going to add that piece to this article of the governance plan.
And then we can certainly.
The committee can discuss it.
I mean, that's something that.
So we're not trying to stop input, but we are trying to make sure that those responsible are able to conduct the work that needs to be conducted.
Yeah, I mean, to underscore what Rebecca says, and then the chairs are the ones doing their own article. So in that sense, it's a little slightly different from what we've done in the P&B article, where we have faculty, we have chairs, we have legal, we have the union, we have a lot of people there. The chairs are the ones describing the chairs' roles and responsibilities. And maybe there's a little bit more consultation that can happen at the department level. I mean, they can all send it back at their department meeting and say, this is what we have suggested as the role of the academic chair. And so there will be input at the department level. That could be a consultation that we may want to
for the fall.
Yes. Anthony, I see your,
Well, because part of the discussion was having us more involved in department stuff. So right now, we're not. So it's kind of a cart before the horse thing. So if they went to the department right now, we wouldn't have a say. But one of the things we suggested as a committee was we should have a say, right? So it's.
We being Senate, who's we?
Meaning COAs and other full-time staff, this was from the greater committee. That we, all full-timers should have more of a say.
In the department.
And right now, it's just
So-
faculty. So that's,
So
for the chairperson's responsibility, absolutely, because they oversee more than just faculty for the community.
Exactly, but what you just said, if the chairs do come back with, this is our description, and they go to the department meetings, we still wouldn't have a say on what, which is kind of,
you go to.
because we don't have a say in department meetings right now. The way our department runs, I don't know about other departments, but we don't have a say in our department.
It's gonna be hard to interfere
know.
at each department meeting, but if there is a consultation, I know that in our department meeting, in another department meeting, the P&B article was discussed at closing with everyone.
Yeah, so we can, let's continue this discussion. Thank you, Patricia, for your work with this committee also. I think I skipped the online learning committee. Santa, nothing to report. All right. Then Leslie, are you ready? Senate Assessment and Review Committee.
Hi, everyone. Thanks. Our committee has started our work, and the beginning of this process is actually creating definitions. So defining what a governance body is, defining some of these things that we assume that everyone knows the answer to. So we're looking to do that, as well as take a look at the governance plan and try to match metrics of success to each of the responsibilities of the Senate. It's a little more challenging than some straight quantitative work. And so this is really where the bulk of our time next will be. We've also, since our committee is split between Senate assessment as well as revisions to or keeping up with the governance plan, we've also been discussing it at length, the concept of representation across the college. And in the new plan, we have allowed for constituencies or potential constituencies to request representation on the Senate. However, we're looking beyond that to see, what can we suggest maybe for other parts of the college so that they can be part of governing bodies and so forth. So there's a lot happening. So in our year-end report, I will try my best to really summarize where we are so that we can, of course, ask for Senate feedback on our direction. So at this time, we have not officially assessed anything. We're still in the formation stages.
Any questions about that? That's an important project for the Senate, and it is underway. All right, thank you, Leslie. That is the last of the Senate committees. The non-Senate committee advising council, Jean's still serving on there. Anything to report?
Yeah, we launched a new advisement model, which you probably know better than I. And because it's new, we're gonna really appreciate your feedback. So if you haven't filled out the survey, I actually gave it to Jill to put in the minutes, and I'm encouraging you to give us feedback about what's working, the faculty mentor role versus advisor's role. And it's, we're going to use your feedback to evolve to the next stage. And then the other thing is there's work on a revision on the website to be much more inclusive and really useful.
The website overall or the advising?
But particularly helpful for the advisement kind of issues.
Great. That sounds good. All right, that is the last of the committee reports. There is no unfinished business that I know of. Is there any new business? Besides the photographer, Cindy?
I just texted him, he said 2 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. So any new business, any issues you want to bring? Since for once we do have a little time. Yes, Cindy.
I just had a question. I don't know if this should be for the executive council, but you know how the Senate has people from all different divisions come and talk to us about what they do. I was just wondering if the union should have
Which one?
Oh,
there's a couple of them, but that's not a bad idea.
just to share information.
Yes, I know that the PSC has a new chair who has just taken place, Laura Tannenbaum, who I had a conversation with. So we powwow, so talk together. But I think that's a good idea. That's something that we could do in the fall. For sure. And DC whatever too.
37.
DC 30, say, yeah, I'm bad at numbers. This is why I can't.
It's Lenore.
Lenore.
Lenore back, yes.
They have Lenore back. She's a long time back.
You'd love to see her. You should be again.
No, we're not. No change.
I'm sure she will.
Yeah. Okay. Good idea. Another union for IT. Okay. I'll write that down. Any other new business?
It's not new business for now, perhaps for the Senate for the future year. I wonder if at some point we should return to codes of conduct, like student code of conduct for campus. Any other codes of conduct, things about campus safety, behavior, and you know, I don't know, in the Senate, maybe we should talk about what plans are in place. And what do we still need?
So I know that faculty council is involved in that, especially regarding student faculty relationships. But it's definitely worth, so there are many discussions going on. They haven't happened in the Senate, it happened in committee of faculty where it's coming up, but it may be worth bringing to Senate. And we have a new VP of student affairs who is starting next week. So with the new registrar, they're bringing new people into these leadership positions will hopefully, we've got a list of things. Here's something to work on. Yeah. Laura?
This was brought up previously. Beyond that, campus affairs. It was decided not to pursue. However, I was the person who brought it up a long time ago. We should be talking about a campus code of conduct, regardless of status as a student. And it would be, I think, very appropriate for the Senate to engage in that conversation similarly as we did to the children on campus. It was beyond the needs of students, faculty, or staff. It was all of us. So I would really like to see that, because we all need reminders occasionally about civility and appropriateness.
All right.
Yeah.
So, something to think about.
Isn't there one CUNY line? There's
The
something,
Henderson rules and the student behavior.
student behavior.
There's the Henderson rules and then the IT etiquette, which really focuses on employees. There's a student section, but there is no statement that I have found on the CUNY website regarding the campus inclusive of employees.
So.
I was
Sounds
just
like
looking into it because I was looking for information about academic freedom, which is somewhere buried in those policies. And I found things about codes of conduct, but I didn't necessarily have an eye out for them while I was looking. And I saw, but again, we don't know about it here. I had to find it, on the CUNY website. It's not, shouldn't we have it on our website?
Sounds like good questions. Patricia?
I just want, I think it's a good idea, and as Loretta said, you can staff, because faculty are not the only student facing employees, so I think we really need to involve everybody, whether the people at the cafeteria, security, everyone, for student facing.
Sounds good. All right, I wrote it on my list. I'll just say, this is again, our last Senate meeting before the summer. Faculty are not on break. We are doing other work, but mostly not on campus. Staff obviously are still showing up every day. So, but the work of the Senate in that way pauses. I will continue going to the weekly cabinet meetings as your representative on the president's cabinet. So except for maybe twice when I'm out of town, otherwise I'll be there. So over the summer, if you are committee chair, work on year-end report for your committee. If you're not a committee chair, you could forget about Senate, but not completely. Think about your future involvement going forward in the beginning again in the fall. Our next meeting is September 13th. Are there any other announcements? What?
September 13th.
Next meeting is gonna be a birthday, happy birthday to Maria on that day.
You think, let's see if I can remember that. We'll see how that goes. September 13th. Please do. All right, and no announcements other than Maria's birthday on our next Senate meeting day. Then I believe we are ready to adjourn and have some photos. Quick while we're look busy and important. These photos, and then we're gonna try to get a group photo. I'm sorry for those of you who are at home and not able to be part of the photo.
Can they all?
Can we-
in the middle and get a-
Can we do the photo in front of the Zoom screen? Will it show up? Yeah.
Wait, did we adjourn yet?
We did not adjourn, but I don't want you all, if you are not a senator, you can leave. Well, you can leave anytime, but I think we are ready to adjourn and then, but don't leave. If you are a senator or an alternate senator, you should be in this photo so that we for once can have a photo of Senate. And I don't believe that we're gonna be able to get the Zoom room into our photo unless we turn off the lights and then you won't be able to see us. Yeah. Then we can, so, I turn the meeting and I do so without a motion. Is that correct, Leslie?
Nope.
All right, then, meeting adjourned.
Diane, what time for the meeting? Leslie wants to know. Just.
Thank you, everybody, for being here, even on Zoom. Okay, so.
Oh, you said it already?